Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jan. I'm from Pivotal. First of all, I would like to thank you for coming to the session. This session is actually aimed to be for beginners. So if you're not beginner, it's okay. You can stay here, but don't ask any questions. No, just joking. So thank you for coming here. Welcome, everybody. And I would like also to thank the committee who accepted my proposal here. So super happy to talk to you today about developing and running Java Spring applications in Cloud Foundry. So what I will tell you about is I will tell you a little bit what is the motivation, why you should run Java Spring applications in Cloud Foundry, and then I will tell you a little bit from the beginner's perspective how to run the Java applications in Cloud Foundry, how to connect to the database, how to connect to other microservices, and then how to monitor your applications. This will not be just a slides presentation. I have prepared a little demo. So my idea is to show you everything live, to demonstrate you how easy it is. So if you have any questions, please save the question for the end, and then we will have time to answer all the questions. So a little bit about me. So I work for Pivotal for the last 3 years. I'm a platform architect. I live in Munich in Germany. And before Pivotal, I have worked for IBM and HP for some time. So let's jump to it. So now I would like to discuss the motivation. Why do I believe that the Cloud Foundry is the best place to run the Java Spring Boot applications? And I would like to start with the haiku that was created by Onsi, the VP of engineering from Pivotal, who once said, "Here is my code, run it on the cloud, I don't care how." And I believe that this is the main idea and main motivation behind the Cloud Foundry, that why it should be used by developers to run the Java applications, because we believe that the Cloud Foundry should be the platform that should help the developers to really simplify the way they work. And it, if you are developing Java applications, you know it from your own experience that you are usually developing applications on your laptop, and that's pretty easy. And then when you need to deploy the applications to some production environments, this is a much different problem. And this is exactly the main motivation for the developers, why to use a platform such as Cloud Foundry, because it will simplify the way how you run the applications. And the goal of Cloud Foundry is to provide you easy way to deploy your applications that you develop on your local environment, to run them on some large cloud environment or your enterprise environment without any hassle, without any problems. So from developer's perspective, this is the biggest motivation and the biggest idea behind the Cloud Foundry. And in the demo, I would now like to show you, how easy it is actually to develop Java Spring applications with the Cloud Foundry platform. So now let's look at some common development techniques, and let's start with the basics, and that's it. Running the Java application in Cloud Foundry. So what I did, I have prepared a little demo application. It's actually a bookmarks manager, and I will switch to my IDE environment, and what we will have one Java Spring Boot application that has a REST control that is using in-memory database H2. And what we will do, we will deploy this application to Cloud Foundry. We will be able to access it using the REST interface, and we will be able to scale it. So let's just do the demo. So now I switch to my environment. Should I switch to? Okay. So, and this is my, give me a second. Okay. So this is my application. The application has it's a Java Spring Boot application. It has a couple classes that are interesting I want to introduce. The first is the bean called bookmark. This is the bean for storing the information about the bookmark, like a name, date, and URL of the bookmark. And as you can see, this is an entity in a database using the entity annotation. The second interesting class I have here is actually a controller class. And this is a REST controller that will allow you to access your application using browser or some REST, any other REST client. And then the last thing I wanted to point you to is, give me a second, is the interface here that I have. And this is actually an interface to your database. And using a simple repository annotation, it will basically use the database that will be found on the Java class path. So with just these two classes and interface, I have a simple application. And now what I want to do, I want to deploy this application to Cloud Foundry. So what I will do, I will now log into the Cloud Foundry platform. So it's my mail. Okay, looks good. Password. Looks good. And now my space. Yeah. So now I should be logged into the platform. It's taking more time than usually. So this is a live demo, so hopefully this will work out well. Okay, let's see. Something is happening. Okay. Is the internet connection so slow? Okay. Let's try it one more time. So I just tried a couple of minutes ago and it was working okay. No, it's not done because it's able to access the, but okay. This should ask for my space. Yeah, should have internet connection. stuck in the same point as the... Okay, now, so finally I'm logged in, super. So I have no applications running. I'm using the CF command line client, super. Okay, so this finally worked out. So now we can push the application. So you have seen the CF push many times before, and what you can see is happening that first I'm actually creating the application in the Cloud Foundry, I'm creating the route in the Cloud Foundry, and then I'm uploading the jar file, the compile application to the Cloud Foundry, to the platform. So this is just 1.3 megabytes, so this should be okay. Now, what is happening that Cloud Foundry actually will build what's called droplet, and then it will, this is like a small container, and then it will schedule the container on some host that will be able to run the container. So now what is happening, it's downloading all the build packs that the platform is supporting, and the build packs are actually providing the runtime for the application. Because we didn't specify which build pack we will use, it will download all of them, and then it will detect what application packages I need. So it will detect that I'm using Java. Now it will detect like all the Java libraries I need. It will download them. It will build the droplet, and now it's actually scheduling the droplet in some cells. So the cells are the host, how to run the application. So now this should actually give me back the URL where my application is running, where the service was started. So hopefully this will work out. Yep. So now this is now finished, and what we see here that we have one instance of my application was started, and this is the URL. So let me just copy the URL. And I go to the Firefox. And if I just do basic HTTP GET, I see my service is running. Super. And then I will do /bookmarks. And now this will give me back some basic bookmarks that I have in my in-memory database. So you can see that Cloud Foundry actually built the URL, and it's giving me the access to my application. And the application has the REST controllers. One of them is this bookmarks controller, and it gives me the list of the bookmarks. So what I wanted to show you next is actually that I'm able to scale the application. So it's actually in the other window. So what I will do now, I will just do CF scale, bookmarks service, -I and 2, and this will scale my application to 2 instances. So if I look at the details, bookmarks service, I can see now that I have one instance of my application running, another one is starting. So now when I switch back to the browser, you can see that I'm still able to, it's giving me back the list of my bookmarks. What I now want to show you is actually, I want to delete one of the bookmarks. So let's delete the 101 focus. So I have some REST client here, and now I will delete. I will do HTTP delete on the 101. So okay, and now if I go back to my list, the focus should disappear. So you see it's not there. But if I refresh it a couple times, now it appears again. And now it will disappear, and now it appears again. And the reason is because I have 2 instances, and I'm using the in-memory database. And I just delete this in my in-memory database, so we just delete it in one instance, but in the second instance, it's still running. So what I want to demonstrate now, that I want to connect my service to actually to real database. So I don't have this connected to the in-memory database, but I will have my application connected to the Postgres database. So this is what I want to demonstrate, that I have two application instances connected to the real Postgres database. So how I will do it, I will connect my application, and the application instances will automatically get the data from the Postgres database. So the way how I will do it, I will look at the services that are running on the platform. I do cf service commands, and it will show me that I have a SQL service running here, and I have a service registry, and I have autoscale. So let's look at the cf service. Let's look at the database service. And then now, if I do cf service command, it will give me back the information that I have the Postgres service that I'm able to use for my application. So what I need to do now, I need to bind it to my application. So I will do cf bind service, and now the name of my application, bookmarks service, and the name of the service was YansDB. So now what will happen, it will connect my application to this database service. It should be fairly quick. Okay, binding YansDB to bookmark service. What I need to do now, I need to basically restage this. So restaging, this means that it will actually rebuild the container. And why I need to rebuild the container is because I need to have the Java libraries that will be able to connect to Postgres. So if you look closely now, it's downloading the Postgres JDBC client. So now my application will be connected to this Postgres database. So now it's rebuilding the container, then it will schedule the container and run it on a platform. So waiting for a start. This should be fairly quick. And if this succeeds, you should be able, how my application is now providing not the data from the in-memory database, but the data actually from the Postgres database. So waiting for application to start. Okay, looks good. So both instances are starting. So now let's switch back to the browser. And if I hit this, you can see that I'm getting now completely different data. I'm getting actually now the Dutch newspapers, and the Dutch newspapers are coming from the Postgres database. And so now so for example, let's delete Dutch news. This was number 7. So I will do now HTTP delete on number 7. Send request, okay. So now the number 7 Dutch news should not be there. Okay, so you see it was deleted from the database, and because now my both instances are connected to the same database, it will show correctly that it's both instances doesn't have the number 7 anymore. So this was a basic example how I switch very fast from the in-memory database to the Postgres database. Okay, so the next example I want to show you actually is when you want to connect to different microservices. So right now we have a application connecting to the database. But what I will do now, I will deploy a UI, I will deploy another microservice, and I will connect this user interface to my original service that you have seen. And now we need to somehow make sure that these two microservices will communicate together. So There is a lot of ways how you can do it. What I have decided to do, I'm using a REST client called Fein, and this REST client in the UI service will talk to the REST controller in the application service. And so using the REST client, first thing. The second thing, I need to do the discovery. So I can enter the URL directly, but it's not nice because the URL can be changing. So what I will do, I will use the service registry called Eureka. So in the service registry, it's like a phone book of microservices. So what I will do now, I will push this new UI service. The new UI service will register in Eureka, in the service registry, and will be also able to find the another service and connect to it. So let's just show you live demo how this works. So I have the second service here, bookmarks client. Okay, so let's clear this. So what I will do now, I will actually I can show it to you a little bit. So it has the bean as well. It has the controller to return the HTML pages, and here it has the proxy, and this is the REST client proxy, and it will be able to communicate with the bookmarks service. So very simple code as well. Let's push it. CF push. Okay. CF push. Okay. And what we can do meanwhile, we can look at the Eureka in the registry. So we have this service here that is actually the service registry for Spring Cloud applications. If I copy this URL, I will be able to show you the dashboard. So what I'm doing now, I will, if this works correctly. Yeah. So now what you will see is actually the dashboard of Eureka service registry. And you see that I have already one application registered there. And this is my original bookmark service that we pushed a couple of minutes ago. And you can see it's running in 2 instances. So this is the little number 2 here. And it gives me back it shows me the URL where is actually my bookmark service running. And we need to wait a little bit when the push will finish. Now you see the push of the bookmarks client actually finished. And you can see it already appeared here. And now the bookmarks client will be able to talk to the bookmarks service. So this is what I want to demonstrate. So let's see what is the URL. So this CF push finished here. We have this is the URL where the application is running. So now you can see the UI service is running. And now I just need to enter the correct path. Bookmarks. Okay, so now you can see my nice UI service that is actually able to connect to the using the REST API to the original bookmark service. So what I can do here, I can add something new. Okay, so let's add Google as a bookmark. From the UI, I hit submit. It should be added to the list. You can see it here in the list. If I go back to my bookmark service and refresh the page, you can see the Google is here added on the list as well. And this communication happens, as I said, using the REST client, so that the UI service is able to talk to my other service using the Fein REST client, and the discovery actually is happening using the service registry. And if I would scale the bookmarks client it will actually scale up here and register automatically in the service registry. So this is a nice basic example how the two services can talk to each other. Last thing what I wanted to show you is actually, how to gather logs and some matrices from your microservices. So what we will do, so we still have my app service running, my UR service running, connecting to the Postgres database using the service registry for discovery. And now I want to look at in some logs, and I want to look at some matrices. So it's actually, the command is cf logs, and this will show you, let's do bookmarks service. So now it's actually nothing is happening because it's waiting for, it's tailing the application. And now if I access it, for example, it will show you that I just access it from, and you will see the log from the application or anything there is. So this is like the very basic way how to get the logs. What's a little bit more interesting, what I wanted to show you, is that you can see a lot of interesting information if you are using Spring Boot actuators. So if I type actuator here, now it's giving me, using the Spring Boot, it's showing me actually all the actuators, all the matrices I can find on my application. So what's, for example, is interesting here, it will give me the list of environment variables that my application is using. So for example, you can see here that my application here using these variables has here stored the actually the URL to my service registry, or it will show you the connection to the databases and so on. So that's one of the interesting actuators. Another one is metrics, where you will be able to find a lot of interesting information about your application performance. And of course, you can stream this the metrics to some other tools, and there is a lot of tools that will be able to analyze this. So this is a pretty easy way how you can get the logs, also get some information about your application. And this concludes my demo. And in a summary, what you have seen is you have seen that how easy it is to actually run the application in the Cloud Foundry. You have seen how I was able to connect to the database, the in-memory or external, and then you have seen how easy it was, to integrate two services together. There is actually a GitHub repo there is a link on my presentation. So if you're interested, you can look at the application. You can play with this yourself. And the goal of this presentation was actually to show you how easy it is to use the Cloud Foundry for you from the perspective of the Java developer, because the Cloud Foundry helps you with a lot of other things, how to run your Java Spring application in a production, so you can really concentrate on the coding. So this concludes my presentation. Thanks a lot for watching, and thank you.